You didn't tame your dog. His ancestors picked you. And the wildest part is, they started doing it before humans even noticed it was happening. 30,000 years ago, you were not the top of the food chain. You were small, slow, and you smelled like dinner. Wolves could hear you breathing from a kilometer away. They hunted in packs, ran for days without tiring, and saw in the dark better than you ever will. If you were a human in the Ice Age, hearing wolves at night was the sound of something deciding whether to kill you. And yet, out of every animal on Earth, not horses, not cows, not even our closest primate cousins, wolves are the ones who walked up to our fire and stayed. There are now over 900 million dogs on this planet. They sleep in our beds, they detect cancer, they pull sleds across Antarctica, they wear birthday hats. But no human ever sat down and invented the dog. Nobody planned this. The truth is, stranger. Wolves started this, and by the time humans figured out what was going on, it was already too late to stop. To understand how, you have to forget everything you think you know about domestication. We picture some clever caveman taming a wolf pup, raising it, training it, breeding it. That story is wrong. The real story starts with garbage. 20 to 40,000 years ago, humans lived in hunter-gatherer bands of maybe 20 to 50 people, moving constantly, hunting badly, dying often. Most hunts failed. A broken ankle was a death sentence. Winter killed indiscriminately. But humans were messy. Even starving, hunter-gatherers left scraps, bones, hides, half-eaten carcasses scattered around every camp. To a wolf, a human settlement wasn't a threat. It was a buffet that walked. Here's where it gets interesting. Most wolves were too afraid to come close. The aggressive ones who tried got speared. But in every wolf population, there were a handful of weirdos. Wolves born slightly less afraid, slightly more curious, slightly calmer around fire and smoke and human voices. Those wolves got the scraps. The terrified ones starved in the forest. The aggressive ones got killed. The bold but chill ones thrived. And they passed those genes on. This is the part that nobody planned. Evolution started selecting wolves not for strength or speed, but for tolerance of humans. Generation after generation, the calmer wolves outbred the wild ones, simply because being near humans paid better than hunting elk in the snow. The wolves were domesticating themselves. And if that sounds like a stretch, scientists have actually watched this exact process happen in real time. In 1959, a Soviet geneticist named Dmitry Belyaev started an experiment in Siberia with silver foxes. He wanted to know what domestication actually does to an animal. So every generation, he picked only the tamest foxes and bred them together. That's it. No training, no teaching, just selecting for chill. Within 10 generations, the foxes started wagging their tails at humans. Then they started whining for attention, then licking hands. But here's where it got strange. Their bodies started changing too. Their ears went floppy, their snouts got shorter, patches of white appeared in their fur, their tails curled. Nobody bred them for any of that. It just came along for the ride. There is something about turning off the aggression switch in a mammal that also softens the body. Smaller jaws, rounder faces. Cuter, basically. Which means the first wolves slowly drifting toward human camps weren't just acting different, they were starting to look different. Smaller, patchier, floppier, less wolf, more proto-dog. Imagine standing in an Ice Age camp at dusk and seeing something at the tree line that doesn't quite look like a wolf anymore. Not a pet, not wild, something in between, watching you. And this wasn't happening in one valley somewhere. Wolves were doing this across Eurasia, across multiple human populations, at the same time. For thousands of years, evolution was rewiring an apex predator into a companion right next to the campfire, and nobody in either species had the faintest idea it was happening. But humans did start to notice the benefits. Dogs hear what we can't. They smell what we can't. They sense a bear in the dark 20 minutes before a human ever would. A wolf hanging near camp wasn't just a scavenger. It was a free four-legged security system. When the wolves got tense, you grab your spear. When the wolves got loud, something was coming. Once both species realized the other was useful, the relationship locked in. This is why dogs are the first animal humans ever domesticated. Before sheep, before goats, before agriculture even existed, wolves got there first, on their own. And then it goes deeper. When humans eventually figured out farming and started eating grains, dogs evolved alongside us, gaining the ability to digest starch in a way wolves still can't. Their bodies literally rewrote themselves to keep eating what we were eating. They followed us across continents, across frozen oceans, across every climate this planet has. Wherever humans went, dogs went, and their DNA changed to keep up. But the strangest evolution wasn't physical, it was emotional. When you make eye contact with your dog, both of you release oxytocin, the same bonding hormone a mother releases when she looks at her baby. Wolves don't do this with humans, dogs do. Your dog staring at you across the room isn't random. That look was engineered by 30,000 years of evolution to hijack the part of your brain that loves your own children. Puppy dog eyes are not a metaphor. They are a literal facial muscle that wolves don't have, and dogs evolved specifically because humans couldn't resist it. Dogs grew a muscle to manipulate us, and we let them because it worked on both sides. Some anthropologists now think dogs gave humans such a massive survival advantage that humans with dogs simply outlived humans without them. We may have spread across the planet partly because we had wolves walking beside us. We didn't conquer the Ice Age alone. We had help. Of course, the deal wasn't free for them. Modern dogs pay a price for this partnership. Pugs can barely breathe, bulldogs often can't give birth without surgery. Dachshunds break their own spines just by jumping off couches. We took the wolf and we sculpted it into shapes evolution never intended. And yet, inside of every one of them, the wolf is still there. When your dog spins 3 times before lying down, it's flattening grass that hasn't existed in its life for thousands of generations. When it buries a toy in the couch cushions, it's caching food for a winter it will never see. When it twitches in its sleep, it's chasing something across a landscape that vanished with the last ice age. Every Chihuahua is a wolf wearing a costume. Every golden retriever is an apex predator that decided you were worth sticking around for. And maybe that's why dogs feel different from every other domesticated animal. Cats live near us. Cows tolerate us. Horses work for us. But dogs joined us. They slept on the cold side of the fire so we could sleep on the warm side. They followed us into blizzards, into wars, into space. They walked beside us through every chapter of being human. In Germany, archaeologists found a grave from 14,000 years ago. Inside it, a man and a woman, and buried carefully beside them, a dog. The dog was sick as a puppy, badly sick, sick enough that without help, it would have died in weeks. But this dog lived for months after, which means somebody in that Ice Age camp, in a world where food was scarce and survival was uncertain, spent precious calories and time keeping a sick puppy alive. That isn't usefulness, that's love. 14,000 years ago, somebody loved a dog enough to bury it with them. So here's the part nobody tells you. You didn't choose dogs, dogs chose us. A handful of weird, curious wolves crept toward a fire one night, and 30,000 years later, their descendants are sleeping on our beds, learning our names, and watching us walk through the door like we're the most important thing in the universe. There was no master plan, no invention, no taming, just scraps in the snow, and one species quietly deciding that the loud, slow two-legged animals were worth the risk. And tonight, somewhere in your house, the descendant of that very first wolf is probably about to fall asleep near you. He doesn't know any of this, but now you do.